Hi guys, today I have a Dollar Tree DIY for you. It's a huge planter, flower planter, and I'm using Dollar Tree tumbling blocks for this DIY. And I just want to say thank you so much for all your condolences. Your kind words were so comforting and I really appreciate it. So let's get started with our DIY. I'm using a wood disc, a 12-inch disc. You can totally skip this because what we're making is a decorative piece to go over the actual flower pot. So you don't need a base, but I have the wood, so I'll be using it. I want my planter to be very strong, so I'll be using my Gorilla wood glue. And I'm just going around the perimeter of my wood disc, and then I'll apply my tumbling block pieces. Now it's time to place our tumbling blocks, and you want to place them right against that edge, and you're going to make sure only one side of the tumbling block is touching. So when we're done with that one row, we should have a circle on the inside and the gaps will be on the outside. You want to keep the edges of your tumbling blocks aligned with the base, and then just go right around until that row is complete. If it's your first time visiting my channel, my name is Nisi. The channel is Budget Friendly Creations. If you love DIY on a budget, then you're in the right place. Click on my channel art below, Budget Friendly Creations, and you'll be able to view all my content on my channel. If you like what you see, please subscribe, and if you do subscribe, please turn the bell notifications on so you'll get future notifications when I post a new video. And to all my current subscribers, I thank you guys so much for the weekly support. Now to finish up this row, I'll just cut a small piece of my tumbling block with my oxsaw blade and I'll just fill it in. I have a request to use these wooden squares in a project, so I'll have that coming up shortly. Now I'll start on the second row and we're going to do the same thing, but this time we're going to overlap the pieces, and I'm also coming out on the edge halfway. So this second row will be sitting halfway on the first one. Just watch as I do this. Now this is the third row and you're going to follow the same procedure halfway out and overlapping. So I did the same for the 7 rows and I'm 2 packs down of my tumbling blocks. So I'll go ahead now and I'll mix some of my wood glue with some water so it can be thinner, and then I'll just paint the mixture onto my planter so it can get stronger. So while that's drying, I'll just proceed to add my pieces. So now I'm at 13 rows and I'll stop there and then I'll start to curve my piece. So now to curve my piece, I'm going to be adding my tumbling blocks directly on top. So you just want to watch the edges of your tumbling blocks. Just make sure that they're sitting on top of your shape that you already have. The tumbling blocks are not all leveled, so I ended up having to space some of them more than the others. So I'll have to shave off a piece of that end so I can add a piece in there. So now this is after 3 rows of stacking them on top of each other. And this is after 5 rows. And I'll continue to do it until I have 8 rows. So now I have my 8 rows. I'll start to curve my wooden blocks inwards. So I'm doing the same thing as I did on the base, but this time I'm just going in. And you can leave as much or as little space as you'd like between them, okay? See, at the base I didn't leave any space, and in the center I left most of the space. And this is the second row, and I'll just continue going around until I have my desired look. It has taken a nice shape. I love this shape, so I think I'm gonna stop here, and I'm just going to add one more row to the top, and it will be a row directly on top of the frame that's there. Now to close it up, this is the last piece, and I ended up with 12 rows on the top. So I'm just going to do the same thing with my glue and water mixture just to make everything nice and strong, and the glue will also add a nice sheen for when I stain it. Now to get my desired color, I'm going to be adding my Minwax stain and sealer, and this is the color Walnut. It's not the color that I want, but I'm just going to put this on, and then I'm going to wipe off the excess with a wet rag, and then I'm going to be adding some of my brown acrylic paint, and that should give me the desired color that I'm looking for. I'm also using my paintbrush to make sure that the paint gets into those grooves so I won't have too many raw edges showing. So now this is how it looks after it's dry. I can see a little yellow undertone coming through, so what I'm doing is I'm just using my brown acrylic paint and I'm just brushing it lightly on top of it. And I'm also wiping some of my stain on the inside edge. So since this is a huge pot and the plant that I'll be using is not as large, I'm going to be using my foam board, and I'm just resting the foam board on the top so I can see where I need to cut, and then I'll cut out the piece and then cut a hole in the center so I can put my plant down in that hole, and then I'll just glue my foam board in place. And I'll be using my strong Loctite construction adhesive for that. And there's also an empty jar in the planter, so the plant is resting on top of that jar. And that's it, guys. You can use this planter pot for live plants or artificial plants. Of course, you can make this your own. You can choose your own color to match your own style. Let me know what you think about this DIY planter if you'll give it a try. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you next Friday. Bye bye.